Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are stepping right into the dark to break down a genuinely terrifying 5-minute horror story called The Mimic Behind the Door. We're going to treat this like a forensic case study. We'll be looking at a 16-year-old boy's rainy night alone and really unpacking the anatomy of suspense, the feeling of total isolation, and the absolutely horrifying consequences of breaking the rules.
So, before we get into the nitty-gritty details, I want you to put yourself in this exact position. Seriously, imagine it. It's 3 a.m. You're completely alone in your house. The world outside is dark, it's dead quiet, and then someone knocks. Do you answer it? It's a pretty universal anxiety, right? And it's honestly the perfect psychological hook to establish the incredibly high stakes of the situation we're about to unpack.
Part 1, Alone in the Storm. Let's dive into this. It all starts with a false sense of security. Our protagonist, 16-year-old Arjun, is home alone for the night. The doors are locked, he's got his snacks ready, and he's completely secure in what feels like an impenetrable house. For hours, everything is just perfectly mundane, totally normal. Until 3:03 a.m. Cutting straight through the white noise of the rain outside, a loud sound rings out through the house. Knock, knock, knock. 3 heavy, very deliberate strikes.
Part 2, the 3:03 a.m. knock. This is our first major escalation. Arjun absolutely freezes. Reaching for his phone, he's probably expecting a text from a stranded friend, right? But there's nothing. Then, those 3 knocks repeat, and they're louder this time. His heart is just pounding as he slowly approaches the front door.
He leans in, he looks through the peephole, and nothing. Just an empty porch in the silent rain. You know, this complete absence of a person is somehow way more terrifying than actually seeing a stranger out there. But for Arjun, finding absolutely no one there prompts this totally misguided sigh of relief. He actually assumes he's safe.
So he turns his back on the seemingly empty porch, and in that exact second, his phone buzzes. It's a message from his mother, and it reads, "Whatever happens tonight, don't open the door." Just imagine the jarring panic of getting this frantic, super cryptic text message at the exact moment you're standing inches away from your front door, right after hearing phantom knocking.
But before he can even fully process that first text, a second one arrives. And if someone knocks, don't look outside. A literal cold wave of dread washes over Arjun. He realizes he's already broken the single most important rule of the night before he even knew the rule existed.
Part 3, Rules of the Mimic. The tension is escalating fast now. Arjun immediately calls his mother. No answer. He tries again. Still no answer. And while he's trapped in that silence, 3 new knocks erupt, but this time they're coming from the back door. Arjun slowly creeps into the kitchen. The small glass window on the back door is pitch black from the storm outside. And then a pale hand slides across the dark glass from the outside. Arjun violently stumbles backward in total shock as the hand just vanishes back into the night. And right at that heart-stopping moment, his phone finally rings. It's his mother's frantic voice on the other end.
He stammers out that someone is outside. That is when his mother drops this terrifying piece of old folklore on him, laying out 3 deadly rules. Step 1, it copies voices. Step 2, it copies faces. Step 3, if it sees you clearly, it can enter. Now think back to the peephole. He looked outside. The mimic already saw his face. Part 4, the voice inside. Right as the gravity of that rule really sets in, a sudden, loud crash deadens the phone line completely. The call drops. Arjun is plunged into this terrifying, helpless silence, and his viewers were right there with him. The ultimate umbilical cord to safety, his mom, has just been abruptly severed.
And then the silence is broken. He hears a voice. "Arjun, open the door." The sheer horror here is that the voice isn't coming from the phone anymore, and it definitely isn't coming from outside. It's his mother's voice, and it's echoing from the living room. The creature has breached the house.
This breach plays out in these awful, terrifying stages. First, it uses that stolen, comforting voice, "Arjun, it's me." Then, the slow footsteps begin echoing down the dark hallway. Tap, tap, tap. It is a slow, incredibly methodical stalking. Arjun is forced to literally sprint and desperately lock himself inside his bedroom, which is his final line of defense.
Part 5, Look Up. We've reached the climax. Arjun is trapped on the floor of his bedroom, entirely paralyzed by fear. And right on the other side of that thin wooden door, the entity just keeps calling his name over and over again, using the voice of the person he trusts most in the entire world. The agonizing tension here is just palpable.
The grueling hours slowly tick by. At 4 a.m., he's just sitting in absolute silence, listening to the nightmare outside his door. By 5 a.m., everything suddenly stops. No more voices, no footsteps, just an eerie void. And finally, by 6 a.m., the sun begins to rise, washing the whole house in daylight and bringing this profound, silent relief.
The tension temporarily lifts for us here. Arjun carefully opens his bedroom door and steps out. The house is completely empty. There's no intruder anywhere. He actually lets out a nervous laugh because he's desperate to rationalize what just happened. He assumes that maybe, just maybe, he survived his own overactive imagination, right? That it was all just a crazy nightmare fueled by the storm and being home alone.
Yep, well, Arjun's smile instantly disappears. Because scratched deep into the wall, directly outside his bedroom door, is a jagged, absolutely terrifying message: next time, open the door. It wasn't a dream at all. The mimic was right there, waiting for him the entire night.
But that begs the question, why didn't it just break down the door? Well, because underneath that scratched message, Arjun notices something else, a muddy handprint. But it's not on the wall, it is on the ceiling, and it is still dripping wet. I want to leave you with this final thought. If the monster wasn't standing outside his door, but was actually crawling on the ceiling all night, just how safe are any of us behind our locked doors? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And remember, whatever you do, don't look outside.